Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the OneSim Race for the Cure here at Road America. I'm Austin. I am joined in the commentary box by Sam Fitzpatrick. Tyler Maxon is controlling the broadcast, cameras, and graphics, and we are extremely ready and excited for this 2-hour long endurance race. Sam, what do you think? What are you thinking about this race?
Well, it should be absolutely fantastic. Great to be back in the GTEs. As we often are on Apex Racing TV, and of course found this Road American circuit, one of the best in the world, undoubtedly. It's 2 hours, a decently length race, a longer race than many of these drivers will be familiar with, but still a fantastic event and for a great course as well.
Yeah, for a good cause. We have 30 entries or 30 cars on track. We have some drivers going for the full 2 hours, as some teams switching out drivers at the midpoint. At the 1 hour mark. So that will be very interesting to see the switching of drivers and the switching of pace, to see if the one driver teams are going to top everyone else. But some teams have 3 teams, some teams have 1 team, some team have just one person representing them at all. But it's all for a good cause, and I believe we do have the organizers ready to join us right now with just a few moments left of qualifying.
Yes, I think so. So Elia Mitchell and also Jeff Carew should be able to join us right now, the organisers of this event. And guys, thanks for putting on this event, and just a quick rundown, I guess, of why we're racing today there.
So we're racing because I wanted to put this race together because I've lost someone to breast cancer, and I felt like this is a cause that kind of gets swept under the table a lot. So I wanted to put something together that the iRacing community can kind of band around and get together with, and just have a little bit of fun, have some good clean racing, and raise some money for a good cause.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you guys ever organized any of these types of events in the past?
No, it's actually funny. We threw this together 2 weeks ahead of time before today. So we kind of threw it together really quick. Yeah. First one good turnout, and I'm actually pretty happy how it is right now. I mean, we got a good group of people here, and I'm proud. We raised over $800 so far with everyone here. It's including, we split teams to cut the time down once, but no, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic achievement for you guys to be able to get quite so much money. Just the kind of the GTE and Road America. Why did you pick this combination?
Honestly, I would say the GTE, because it's one of the most competitive and active classes to race. And we were back and forth on tracks. We said spot first, and then we're like, you know what? Let's do something that everybody tends to like, and it's not a really long track. Road America is a competitive track. A lot of people enjoy it, and it's a good. I think that's why I thought it would be a good base for us to race at.
Absolutely, and just well as well for your own races today, because you're both racing this evening. And who are you in the same team, and who should we watch out for?
Yeah, so we're on the same team, both part of OneSim. We are running separate cars, though, just to kind of have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of competition between us and then the rest of the teams that are here. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I think you should look out for the number 97 RSR car. They seem really quick right now within qualifying. So it'd be a good kind of close race between the top 10, maybe even everybody that's in the field.
Yeah, it should be a terrific event. Thanks for having a chat with us, guys, and feel welcome to have a chat with us later on after the race. Is there just any shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go, before the race?
Yeah, definitely. We want to give a shout-out to our entire team for supporting this and pushing it with us. And, of course, you cannot forget our sponsor, GCR Simulators, for the amount of support they gave us through this event also, and helping share and get the word out there. And then also, lastly, everyone who even joined, everyone who registered and made the donation, it means a lot to us, especially for how quickly we threw this together. I mean, we were afraid of only having a 15-car field, and I mean, we're over 25 cars right now. So, I mean, we're excited, we're ecstatic for what we've done for this, and be plan for more to come soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for putting on this event such a fantastic course, and yeah, good luck for your races today.
Thank you. Man. Have a good day.
Thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful day.
So that was Elia Mitchell and Jeff Carolla having a chat with us, and yeah, Austin, yeah, just taking us through why this event was put on.
Yeah, it was very interesting when I heard the pitch for this idea, because Jeff actually, he messaged me saying, "Hey, do you know any broadcasters wanting to broadcast?" I'm like, Apex Racing TV. And they came to us.
Well, I mean, they're very fortunate that they did, of course, with our high-quality broadcast.
Yeah, but currently, with 2 minutes left in qualifying, it's RSR Esports 912 sitting up on pole with Adrian Luthway sitting up there with a time of 1:58.64, which was his very last lap. And second place, his teammate from RSR Esports 488. It's the Ferrari. And I believe RSR has the top 4 spots.
Yeah, they are competitive to say the least, and I think that all their teams, well, almost they got a team down in 16th place as well. So that's set up, it seems, and yeah, as well. So on the divisional pole, they are quite a bit clear of the rest of the field, but I mean, I'm sure there's going to be many other drivers out there giving them a fantastic challenge today. And of course, also the strategy element. Imagine, I don't know about you, Austin, but I guess this is going to be a 2-stop strategy, perhaps. It's going to be difficult to the 1-stop work.
I do know there's going to be more than one stint. There's definitely going to be a stop. I do believe there's going to be maybe 2. I would be surprised to see a 3-stop race, because that will be a very interesting strategy. But I also know that there's going to be some driver switching, and there are some interesting driver switches happening between teams. I know of one team that they have a young prospect who's never owned this track or the car that he's racing, and after a day of practice, he is ready to go. So some interesting storylines might be formed here for a few of these teams, and pace difference between drivers that might also affect some team's pace and the finish.
Yeah, definitely, and it adds a little bit of unpredictability perhaps, and like you said, if it is 3 stints, do you want to have maybe one driver in the middle stint and then another driver in the first and third, or how do you balance that? It's going to be a question these drivers are going to have to answer. Mitchell just got to the line then, just about missed out on another lap, but he's flashing his light still. We'll have to see what position he is. Currently 16th place on the grid. It's just putting in their final lap times. Of course, the check flag is up, but they they are allowed to set their times. Joshua Bolt, by the way, has ended the RSR dominance. It's still an RSR 1-2-3, but Bolt's back up in 4th place now, and then of course the RSR in 5th and 6th. So they are looking very strong. And what Justin Rain can do in the RSR 911 car currently sits in 2nd place, only on his time by about 1/10.5 in order to take pole position. And he crosses the line, and he does a 58.723, so it was an improvement, but not enough. He's still 8/100ths off 97 pole sitter.
Yeah, it's a Porsche lockout of the front row. It's mainly a Porsche dominated top 6 with only Vaughn Glantz in the RSR Esports 488 in the Ferrari. I want to talk about Joshua Bolt. He is one of the single drivers. So it's just him driving for himself and his team. Also, another single driver team is Team Ryan Whelan and Daniel Newell. Whelan and Newell is in 8th and 14th, but you'll see who is driving for a few of these teams, as we're currently looking at Lucas Brown, Canadian, coming up underneath the Caterpillar side and crossing the line.
No improvement for him. I'll tell you, that was an invalidated line. So he must have picked up a 1X somewhere around the track. No limit, by the way, in terms of instance, so they can pick as many as they like. And you can pick up quite a few rounds here, but I would say around this place, if you do one ride, you're running the risk of potentially giving your car some damage. There are some kind of divots, particularly outside of turn 6, turn 7. If you run wide there off the curb, then you're really going to potentially damage the splits on your car. And there's a few other places the curbs can be quite lethal in the grassy areas as well. But it seems like all the drivers have now completed their lap time. So in a moment, we're going to be able to go through the starting grid.
Yeah, Road America is known for wide exits, especially in Canada corner, and anyone who's gone off track here knows the dust being picked up is usually a sign of cars crashing or better going on the brakes a little bit earlier. I'm very excited to see what's happening after that long second straight into turn 3, if there's going to be a little send up the inside to start off this race. But first, let's bring you through the starting grid. It's RSR Esports starting up on pole with Adrian Luthaway, setting a time of a 1:58.645, followed by RSR 911, Justin Rim. Vaughn Glantz for RSR Esports 488, Joshua Bolt for himself. Mark Ate Watanabe for RSR 913, Ignacio Hortel for RSR Esports Blue, Fabrizio Rivera for REI Esports, Ryan Whelan, James Hebb for OneSim GTR White, Stefan Kellinger for REI Esports 3, Eric Luke for Apex Button Box, Kenny Rodriguez, James Pooh for Team Simdab, Daniel Newell, John Macchione for Wolfpack Esports White, Jay Steffi, Claude Remier, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Mercer, Richard L. Regan Jr., Lucas Brown, Jeff Corallo, Brandon Kincott, John Ann, driving for Cancer Fighters, which is, I believe, a charity team. And I believe there is some more after that. Callum Herbert for REI Sports Cars Porsche, Devin Booth for Largely Gaming Purple Slap of the Hands, Marion McDaniel for Wolfpack Esports Pink, Corey Prosser for Edition 709, Julio De Caprio for DC Race Team, and Anthony Pisano for RSR 911.
Of course, some of the drivers who set qualifying times, apparently you're allowed to start with a different driver to the driver that you qualified with. So you might see a little bit of a mix-up there. And of course, around this track, we get full formation, the legendary Road America formation lap, undoubtedly the longest one we have in iRacing. But I mean, it gives us a little bit more time. It's a 2-hour race. When it's a bit frustrating, but a 2-hour race, we're in for the long haul anyway. And it's a bit of a unique event, this, because we've kind of been tipping this as an endurance event. At the same time, if you're not sprinting for this entire 2 hours, you're not going to do particularly well. This is a proper, you're not going to leave anything on the table. But a nice mix, actually, of sprinting and also that endurance factor with the strategy coming into play as well.
Yeah, 2-hour endurance race is the, I would say the mile of endurance races, if compare this to track and field, because it's a mile. You gotta pace yourself for at least 4 stints, 4 laps around a track. But it's pretty hard to get fast at this. So we're going to see very fast and consistent racing. You might see some drivers start to fade away in around 45 minutes time because they're only used to a 1-hour race. But certainly, I've seen a lot of these guys racing in the iRacing Endurance Le Mans series yesterday at Le Mans. So they do have experience with endurance. Some of these guys just forming a team out of nowhere, actually, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. But this long straight down here, I'm sure our producer Tyler Maxon has a few interesting stories when he races down this straight. Lots of drafting and some daring moves into this corner.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is pretty much a draft circuit, and in a 2-hour event, you want to be in the slipstream for as long as possible. And if you can maybe manipulate your strategy a little bit favorably, save a little bit of fuel in one of the stints, it can like to go one further lap maybe in that stint and get the overcut on a couple of the drivers. It will be interesting to see what tactics these drivers use, or maybe they'll just be completely all-out track position and go for daring moves wherever they possibly can. It's really going to be quite a divide amongst these guys, but certainly an assistance to the leading teams of RSR esports to have that lockup, because they can certainly work together.
Yeah, I want to point something out. If most of the cars seem very similar, most of the teams, they got into a very celebratory mood for this event, and they wanted to show their support for this race and the charity. They're all running, or most of them are running race-specific celebratory cancer breast awareness liveries, as all the RSR guys can show with the abundance of pink in the field. There are some default iRacing paints in the field as well. I believe some teams had a little bit of trouble getting those working, but it's very nice seeing all the different variations that people are using for their liveries to celebrate breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, definitely, and it's terrific to see once again the iRacing community turn up for an event like this and backing such a superb cause.
Well, as they come through Kane that corner and up the crest with just 2 laps, well, 2 corners to go, the Porsche safety car is going to pull off and lead it to the front row of Porsches for Team RSR. The 912 car, driven by Adrian Lithwin, going to lead them off. As here comes the Porsche safety car. Let's raise some money for breast cancer awareness as the GTR Sim 4 OneSim is getting ready to go green. And let's go racing for 2 hours here at Road America. Great start by RSR Esports. Now let's see a little bit of side-by-side action between inner teams, but everyone making it through turn 1 pretty lightly. A little bit of a lockup mid-corner for Car's middle pack.
No changes in the top 11 places so far. So Linus Stern there, good start for John McKeon in the car number 40 to move up a couple of places. Kenny Rodriguez in the 969 car just dropping down a little bit. You can see these RSI drivers very much in the working together so far, all in a single file.
Oh, we got to send up onto the inside of John Macchione. That is SRT Esports green driver for Kenny Rodriguez with a nice send into turn 3. Back up front, though, it's a RSR dominated 1-2-3, but the Porsche is looking to start to pull away from the rest of the field. Vaughn Glantz for the RSR 488 team is looking to start falling away. But I believe RSR Esports really wants this team dominance right here.
Yeah, they want to just lock this one up for as long as possible. It's looking very favourable for them at the moment. But yeah, certainly can't be complacent, and now they can kind of slipstream past one another. It seems as though no one's been able to pull away significantly. Lethwaite with 0.7 of a second lead as we are about to finish the opening lap, but that's not going to quite be enough to get away.
That's a CRT 488 car going slow. Looks like he had a little bit of an incident out of Speedville into that kink and may have hit a massive wall. I don't believe I saw any other cars getting involved with that. Let's get a little replay as, ooh, that's just him. Oh, that's a big hit. That is the 84 car, I think, that he hit. Oh, the car right in front of him came across and he just clipped him. And already a incident at the very start. Back up into turn 3. Bolt and Glance going side by side. Glance around the outside, unable to hold off on Bolt. These are two. This is RSR versus Joshua Bolt. Joshua Bolt sending up onto the inside through Corvette. And, ooh, Eric Luke for Apex Button Box is off the track. But Bolt breaking the RSR podium, sitting up there in turn 3. The P3.
Might be under pressure in the corner as he gets tapped wide, and he's going to perhaps get collected by a couple of other drivers, but no, very fortunate there. That was could have been much worse for Paul Glace, and I was waiting for someone to smack into the corner of his car, which could have spelled the end of his day, but fortunately everyone got past and he's back on his way, but at the loss of lots of track position.
A big loss of track position and a little bit of team rivalry happening on right there, as I think that was two teammates hitting each other.
Yeah, maybe James, the one who gave the nudge initially, and spinning round his his own teammate. So very unfortunate there. Clearly wasn't a deliberate move. Just outbraked himself slightly.
Oh, God, crash in the back. No. That's John Macchione and one of the Ferraris. I believe that was Vaughn Glance for RSR Esports 488, and he's been having a rough race as thankfully he gets out of the track and out of the way. That's one of the Wolfpack cars that unfortunately had one of those incidents already.
Yeah, so pretty lap for him. As we see Watson Abbey try to gain a place as Mitchell is off the circuit for OneSim. Down in 17th place, 1 place gained from his start, at least according to my screen for the number 28 car. That is not good for him, going through the gravel through turn 1. So plenty of mistakes already. We're only on lap 3 of this event, and now you're going to see another move going into turn 5. I think that's just behind. It's Webb, sorry, dropping loads down the order. 77 car, he rejoins the circuit without too much damage, I think.
Yeah, James has much been gutted by that incident, but hey, it's a 2-hour race. Races aren't won within the first hour as we're riding on board James Hebb. I believe the Ferrari behind him might have tried something into this corner, or he just lost it around the outside. Here comes the Ferrari up onto the inside of James, and oh, he has a little bit of a cutback, and that gave his back end a little bit of a bump and a rotate.
And that was Rivera with the contact, so very marginal contact there, but just spinning the car around. So it shows how much load these Porsche cars are on, and yeah, big loss of position there. It really just shows if you can keep your nose clean in these early stages. It's a decently length race, but like I said earlier on, it is a sprint at the same time, where us desperately want to make their way up through the order. So maybe a bit of a lack of patience at the moment, but like I said, if you can keep your car out of harm's way, you're going to gain as the race is like this.
Usually in these opening laps, it's very hectic. People are so close together that I'm not usually running endurance races close together, and there are going to be a lot of incidents, but keeping your nose clean is going to be the biggest thing, as our biggest mover so far with just 6 minutes into it has already moved up 9 spots. That is Lucas Brown driving for himself, sitting in P12.
Yeah, and he's not too far behind Mike Mercer either in the car number 15, so incredibly impressive start already for him. In the 2-minute 2.12, that is nearly 3 seconds slower than the race leaders, but of course these guys constantly fighting. And now that he's in the slipstream of the car ahead, he has his chance of catching and passing. Left weight with the fastest lap of the race that last time round, but hasn't stopped him from coming under pressure from his teammate just behind.
Yeah, Leftway and Rem, both RSR Porsche cars, Team 911 and Team 912. Nose to tail, and they're pretty much running away with this race.
Yeah, got a pretty nice margin already. 5.5 seconds to Joshua Bolt, who of course is not part of RSR, so yeah, pretty much perfect for the top two. Need to make sure that they don't collide like their teammates did though earlier on.
Yeah, Joshua Bolt driving for himself as it's registered on his on his team, but I think that's a RSR Esports livery that he is running. He just wanted to do it all by himself, though, so not registered with the team, but still with the team. But getting the overtake on him for RSR Esports Blue is Ignacio Hortel, so it's back to the RSR dominance at the front.
I mean, at least we got Ryan Whelan, who seems to be a privateer. He's mixing it with these guys at the moment. Fantastic output for Whelan, up 3 places. I think he was the highest qualified, or maybe the second place non-RSR driver on the grid. And he's done a good job at keeping his nose in that BMW very clean at the moment. Well, of course, a strong car as well, as you can see by the sides, but you do not want to go side by side. It's going side by side just is Hortzel and Bolts once again. Also, keeping his car in the middle of the circuit, it's quite a narrow entry here. Not much of an opportunity for his teammates to retaliate.
Yeah, I've already seen a few cars getting turned around mid-corner going into turn 3, so a mid-corner defense in the middle of the track is very risky to do, especially the car behind you is gaining, because the draft down that straight is very, very powerful. As actually it looks like Ryan Whelan is under attack from Mark Akira Watanabe for RSR 913.
This one of the few areas in the circuit where an overtake is almost impossible. I mean, he's got a pretty good launch, but its kink is so quick, and as the following driver, really tricky that kink to just pick your turn-in point when you're under the bonnet, or sorry, right under the bumper of the car ahead. This is a much better opportunity into Canada corner. A bit of a lock up for the driver ahead, but nothing giving for Mark, and as long as the BMW ahead stays in the slipstream of the other cars, then there's not much of an advantage up the cars down straight.
Yeah, let's see the time gained by Mark Akira Watanabe down that straight. He could have made a move down up onto the inside, but didn't want to risk it because this is a 2-hour endurance race, and these guys are driving it up at the front like it's a sprint race. Here on Jane's pool for Team Simdab, swings it down the inside, down this long straight. It's a BMW on BMW drag race here at Road America. Simdab up into the inside, gets P8.
Yeah, that was a textbook move. He is a bit vulnerable into turn 5, though, as is often the case around this place, but has pulled away enough to be turn 2, so he should be protected from that attack. And he can move on to the next car now, compute onto Rivera, who's been one of the beneficiaries of a couple of the incidents, did cause one of the incidents, so at least was involved in then, as Whelan is going to lose another place then to Watanabe, as we kind of expected. It looks as though he had the pace anyway, did Mark, and he has now made that move. So they have dropped quite a bit behind, actually, the drivers ahead. 1.6 seconds now to Hortzel and Bolt. But this is now, it's pretty much to OneSim, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
an RSR.
a
1, 2, 3,
RSR.
4, 5.
It's also a Porsche 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
So the Porsche dominance was a qualifying, but it's just showing that these cars have so much race pace. But do they have stint pace?
I mean, I'm surprised that there are so many Porsches out here, because I was commentating on the Aussie Mixed and Fixed series earlier on, and the Porsche was the least used car. It was around Le Mans, so that's quite an extreme circuit, but at the same time, it kind of shares quite similar characteristics to this place. Of course, long straights, need a very good top-end speed, but these guys making the Porsche work very well.
Yeah, I really want to see what the BMWs and Ferraris can do. Maybe some Fords, since we're so close to Detroit up here at Road America. Ford needed to show up in their GTE game some more. But Watanabe going a little bit wide, getting into the gravel. That might promote Whelan to try to make a move coming up into turn 3. And I think that Beamer has a bit of a charge. We'll see if Ryan Whelan can break that top 5. Ours are dominated. But no, he's actually letting off and letting Watanabe lead him on. So this is endurance racing at its finest. Letting cars lead you out, letting them burn fuel as you save fuel behind them. He might be trying for a lower stint than the other guys.
Yeah, this is kind of what I expected to see at the start, but no, they all wanted track position instead. But yeah, I think that's probably smart driving because he's just been overtaken by, has just had a spin or jumped back quite a bit, way too much played into that left-hander seemingly, and it slid the cut, and now he's lost the slipstream effects. So his game plan of staying in slipstream is kind of failed now because he's got to push really hard just to get to back within draft range. Now 1.1 seconds behind, so he isn't going to find too much of a benefit now. And you can see that Rivera actually keeping up a quite good pace. Rivera, he's faster than everyone up to Justin Rain in 2nd place on that last lap. Watch out for Fabrizio Rivera, currently running in 7th place.
Yeah, Fabrizio running a 2 minutes 19, but you were talking about drafting and track position. Up at the front, Ram and Luthway, they just separated by 1.2 seconds. I think that was to give each other a little bit of room, but those two Porsches for RSR Esports 912 and 911 have just been drafting with each other and just been so dominant as we're looking at Jay Steffi for SRT Esports Black, trying to chase down Brown and Mercer.
Yeah, this is the battle over 11th place at the moment. 6-second gap between Newell and Mercer. Quite a few gaps have formed after the few spins we saw in the early stages. And that Ferrari, I believe, is the fastest car at the end of the straights. So it could be tricky to overtake.
Yeah, that Porsche's going to have to make all the moves in the corners, or maybe the braking zone, or just draft him and soak up that speed and get him on a strategy call. Speaking of strategy, it's going to be very important here when you pit, how many stops you do, and if you change tires. Looking at Ryan Whelan now defending from Fabrizio Rivera from REI Esports. Fabrizio in that Ferrari we were just talking about, that top speed that Ferrari has, and he has a great launch out of the carousel through the kink. Are we going to see Fabrizio Rivera sending it into Canada corner? No, it's not.
I think he realised that it's just going to be a better opportunity in a couple of calls time. He's really got turn 1, or he could maybe go for turn 5 as well. Another driver actually just catching up to these guys as well is Pugh. He's also in the 2-minute dead. So, meanwhile, Whelan on that lap, that was a 2-minute 2. Admittedly, he was overtaken and made a mistake, so maybe that's not wholly representative. But just looking at the times, whilst the top 2 are leaps and bounds ahead of the rest, it seems, the lap times are actually quite evenly matched at the moment, kind of at 2 minutes dead for the majority of the drivers. For example, Pugh in that last lap only pretty much matched 2nd place to Justin Rain. So these guys are quite evenly matched, but that track position at the start of the race has proven to be quite costly because now there is nearly 20 seconds between them.
Yeah, time is definitely separating a lot of people. We were saying about identical times. Joshua Bolt and Adrian Luthway set an identical time of 2 minutes and 46 seconds last lap.
Yeah, incredible consistency between those two.
Looking at James Poo right now. Kind of in a no man's land early on, but that's just a great way at the very start of the race to just be by yourself. You only have yourself to worry about. A little bit of pace from the guys up ahead. Just hit your lines, hit your marks as the cars in front of you are battling very hard as Fabrizio Rivera went a little bit off track defending from Ryan Whelan.
Yeah, now ahead though, as Rivera should be able to pull away. Does certainly seem to have extra pace. He's 3 seconds behind Watanabe. He just struggling to back up his strong qualifying form is Whelan. To be fair, as we're going to see a bit of side by side, Whelan trying to respond. Had a fantastic start, did Whelan, but understandably just falling back a little bit now, but put himself into a good position with 1 hour and 40 minutes of this event to go. So many opportunities for mistakes, and he's doing a good job at the moment of not committing one himself.
Yeah, remember, Ryan Whelan is driving for himself, not a part of any team. He's not planning on switching out of his car, having another driver switch into. Most of these teams have another driver lined up and ready to go when they make their pit stop, so they're on sprint racing pace. Ryan Whelan, he's on endurance racing pace because he's in that cockpit for 2 straight hours.
Yeah, and that can be quite a test for drivers. They're used to 45-minute meters, perhaps in the IMSA official series, but the 2 hours is a completely different challenge. And yeah, only really ever have it in special events as side by side with it. I thought he would pull away, but no. That 6 event is so useful. Has to go defensive into 5, runs a little bit deep. Is this going to invite the other BMW along?
Yeah, James Poo's caught up a lot for Team Sim Dab right now, and that blue car might be a little bit of a factor in this battle because it's 2 Beamers on a Ferrari. As we got Ignacio Hortal for RSR Esports Blue spinning around, and wait, both the Beamers behind James. Oh, that's a big hit. These cars don't have ABS. Well, why we went to that replay, both of the Beamers have absolutely lost ground, and I think they had a little bit of incident with each other.
Yeah, losing, they're miles behind now. So yeah, it's really,
Rivera. Going into that corner, there might have been some contact between them. They both probably shot off track.
Yes, that was Whelan and there's a couple of drivers involved, and yeah, it really has set them back significantly. They're up into 5th place. I think he might have came back 3 places on that lap.
Yeah, that's what happened going into that turn. Ryan Whelan locked up the back brakes and went spinning around. These cars do not have ABS, so they have ways to monitor tire lockup, but they do not have ABS, but they do have traction control. So very weird cars here.
Yes. I mean, the traction control, you can turn that off if you so choose, but I think from my experience, you kind of want on a lowish setting, kind of middle to lower. I think there's something like, it goes up to 12, and from my experience, I usually run it at about 4 or so, but of course, in a 2-hour race, probably we want it a little high just for that extra security. They need to gain that extra half a tenth per lap. It's more about not making mistakes, so don't be surprised if drivers are adopting tactic. It's Hugh catching up to Callagher, who is a driver I haven't really talked about a whole lot today, but up 2 places from the start into just a keeping it clean driver out there. Lucas Brown, who got involved in an incident near the start of the race, but he's up 9 places from his start actually, so up into 12th now.
Yeah, Lucas Brown, very clean start in that number 88 Ferrari. And he's one of those also single driver teams. See what he can do. We'll be keeping track of his progress throughout the race so far. It's looking nice for him. So it looks like Pooh and Callagher having a little bit of a battle for 8th place, actually. As, bit of off tracks for Hortel. And it looks like Hortel's actually just got back on track as well, but Hortel losing a lot of time to Rivera. As we're watching this fight, kind of want to... We were talking about the charity that we are donating to. It is the Susan G. Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer Awareness. That's what all this is for. Teams, their entry fees go straight into donations for the OneSim, for this OneSim event. And we were talking with the organizers at the very start, and they were very passionate about this. I believe one of them was affected by breast cancer awareness, so this was the charity that they wanted to sign up for and have everything donated. They said $800 donated and raised within 2 weeks of starting this entire event and then signing everyone up. So great turnout. I believe we have 30 cars signed up for this and on track right now. About 26 of them are still on track. I believe some of them unfortunately have crashed out and ended their race very easily. I think one of them didn't even make, 2 of them didn't make the track. That's right.
Yeah, and I think, so a lot of money raised, and of course, thanks to all the teams for giving so much funds for a fantastic course and putting on a good broadcast as well for us at Apex Race 2. Very pleased to be able to bring this action to you. And also good to see the organizer earlier on. I mean, I asked them, why did you pick this track? And they were like, well, you know, it's got quite a lot of popularity with the GT and the Road American, and that's absolutely the right mentality to have when it comes to these events. Get the most amount of people involved as possible, and they've done a great job at raising a lot of money, as Austin was saying, just in a couple of weeks. So yeah, fantastic. Of course, still racing out there. Herb getting quite close to Brown, just ahead of him, with Mercer just behind as well. Of course, Luthwaite still leading the way, 1.3 seconds ahead of Ray. These two are teammates, of course, as Heb moving ahead of Mercer down this straight. So,
car coming out of the pit lane, making it 3 wide at the very entrance to that corner. That would have been very, very disastrous. That car coming out of the pit lane, was that Eliza Mitchell? No, that was Mike Mercer. As we got a little bit of side-by-side fight for Fabrizio Rivera around the outside, trying to get past Ignacio Hornell, who had a little bit of an incident last lap. I think he went off track a little bit. He did lose the place, and I do think I see some damage on the front end of that Porsche. But Fabrizio Rivera, we saw him moving up through the field. This guy has some great pace for REI Esports. I'm pretty sure he does have a few fans in chat.
Well, it's good to see some fan clubs, as always. We absolutely love fan clubs on Apex Racing TV. And of course, you know, we want to hear from the drivers as well. We've got a few drivers who have fantastic fan clubs who always say they have an interview, but they don't. So any teams watching this, you know, certainly do have a chat with us after the race, and it will be interesting to hear your narratives of your respective events. James Heb right on the tail at the moment, down 5 places from his starts. Not quite being able to stay mega close to the kink. Really just that Ferrari top end speed helping quite a bit. Also, yeah, of course, many different ways you can go with downforce around here. You can go kind of that high downforce for the middle part of the sector, or middle part of the track, or low downforce for these long straights.
Yeah, we were talking about driver fan clubs and just awareness to this event. I do believe we have a few streamers in here. I know the OneSim guys, they love streaming, but we're going to get back to this fight. James Head up on the tail of Lucas Brown, the Ferrari and the Porsche going side by side here down the front straight, heading into turn 1. That Ferrari top end speed keeping Brown just ahead. Is there going to be a move around the outside? There's a dive up the inside. There's a Ferrari going into the wall, and that's Mercer into the wall at turn 1. Mike Mercer just went hard into the wall at turn 1. I'm not sure if he lost braking or just had a massive lockup, but oh, that was Corey Prosser. I'm sorry, that wasn't Mike Mercer.
I think that was a stuck throttle. He had his throttle down even when he was in the barrier, and he does a superb job here. Does cross it, managing to avoid, trying to successfully spin the car before he hits the wall. But that is a hardware failure for him, and that is a great shame because that was a nice battle. It's still a good battle, but yeah, really disappointing. Hopefully you'll let us know in the YouTube chat what happened precisely there.
No, we are live here on YouTube at Apex Racing TV and on Twitch on the Apex Racing TV Twitch channel, and I believe Facebook as well. So viewers from all over the place. Elijah Mitchell sitting in 16th spot. Driving for OneSim, also streaming up on Twitch at Kraka. Speaking of streamers, that car in 21st place has a very familiar last name. It's Devin Booth. Very popular iRacing streamer. As Eric Luke having a little bit of a battle with Mitchell.
Yeah,
Gotta say, I really love that car paint. It's got a camo on it.
Yeah, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Some brilliant liveries. I mean, we said it on the formation lap how good some of these cars look, but it is absolutely superb up there. And yeah, well, certainly Eric Luke's one of the very best up there. And of course, a stripe on the bonnet as well. At least the livery I'm saying got a stripe on it, which will add nice 0.5 of a second or so for his lap times.
Yeah, it's also got the pink trim and then the camo all around it, which also add about, I don't know, 20 horsepower.
I mean, yeah, you really need it around this place.
Looking at Daniel Newland, that black and gold car, driving for himself. He's defending from Team Sim Dabs James Poo, who we've seen been on a charge. Unfortunately, was caught up with that one incident by Ryan Whelan. But this is the top BMW car trying to get around one of the Ferraris for P7.
Was 0.3 of a second faster on that last lap. So it certainly seems to have the momentum, does Pete. Did start ahead of Newell, but not anymore. You can see Kelliger just behind as well. He's had a couple of setbacks, I believe. I believe Kelliger was ahead of these guys earlier on, but must have had some kind of issue. All these guys have passed him since then. But Pew, I mean, when we have these types of battles around this place, it just seems a bit inevitable. The overtaking is so possible with these long straights. It's kind of when you do it rather than if you will. He's 3.5 of a second behind. Might have a chance going into turn 1.
But Newell and that Ferrari using his top end speed, he's going on to the inside, and that is him letting Pooh by, not wanting to fight it, not wanting to risk his car. We're 30 minutes into this race, and I say this is the first good breaking point to have a little bit of a recap of what's went down. It's a RSR dominated 1-2. They led the race, they led the qualifying, they led the formation lap, and it's still a 1-2 with Adrian Luthway and Justin Realm driving both those RSR Porsches way in front of the pack by 10 seconds. And third place, it's Justin Bolt driving for RSR, but right as third as himself, and Mark Akere Watanabe driving that RSR 913. And Ignacio Hortel completes the RSR top 5. Driving the RSR Esports Blue number 2 Porsche. They're followed up by Fabrizio Rivera for REI Esports, James Pooh for Team SimDad, Daniel Newell, who we're looking at right now, trying to chase down James, Stefan Kelliger for REI Esports, Ryan Whelan driving for himself, Jay Steffen for SRT Esports, James Hebb for OneSim. As having some cars going into the pit stop right now. If this was a planned pit stop, it's certainly around the time that you would certainly think for one, but this is a very early stop for John Macchione. It's actually his second stop. He's driving for Wolfpack Esports. I believe they were one of the cars that were having problems with their paints.
Already a lap down, so yeah, probably has taken a couple of pit stops.
It's the second one.
Yeah. So yeah, must have had an issue early on. A bit of damage on that car. Do they get faster pairs in this race? They get
believe
one
so.
faster pair. Yeah, one faster pair for this event. And it's when you take that, quite it's sometimes a bit of a conundrum in these 2-hour-long races. I mean, if you pick up a little bit of splits of damage in the first stint, do you take that faster pair to get it done and be fast at the end of the race, or do you save it in case you have a big wreck later
Also,
on?
Lucas Brown going in for his first pit stop that we saw right there. So, Lucas Brown, he was one of the top movers of this race and taking a very early pit stop. So, he might be on a more sprint lap as Claude Ramar, not the best exit out of turn 1. And he gets overtaken by Vaughn Grace as this is a RSR team battle as well. Battle for 5th is Rivera and Hordal. They've been going at each other for a while.
Yeah, difficult to imagine how Holtz actually had a spin earlier on. And he's still doing really well up in 5th place. I believe he lost about 5 seconds in that spin. I think it was by himself, but yeah, he's recovered well. Rivera as well. I mean, a little bit of a disappointing qualifying, I think, for Rivera, but he's been really promising ever since then. And these top 6 drivers, that last lap, their lap time separated by about 0.4 of a second. That's how closely matched they are. They are absolutely matching one another's lap times.
Yeah. These top guys are just absolutely on a different level. The top 6 setting straight up just 2-minute flat times. Lowest time was a 2-minute 53, and that was Ignacio Hordal. The highest time was a 2-minute 9.2, and that was Martin Watanabe, who is up in 4th.
Up 18 then for these drivers there now starting. And this is where you kind of get into a bit more of a rhythm as a driver. I think they probably have been in a little bit of a rhythm anyway for a few laps. But Rivera, yeah, like I said, looking very quick, was the fastest driver on track that last tour. 10th faster than the race leader, but most importantly, 3/10 faster than the driver he's sitting right behind, Ignacio Hordal.
Now that draft's definitely helping him and that Ferrari top speed, but this Porsche through these corners is just so dominant that Rivera is going to have to work tooth and nail to get past of Ignacio Hordal for that RSR Esports blue car. Also, Ignacio is planning to do a driver change very soon.
I believe the driver change is done simultaneously to the tyres, if I'm correct. So
Well, I'm expecting one driver to do 1 hour, then another driver do the other hour. That's what I'm going at. Since it's a 2-hour endurance race, we're not doing the whole 7-hour endurance race strategy where we have guys triple sitting or quadruple sitting. I had my fair share 2 weeks ago.
What event was that? Petite?
Yeah.
Right.
Very happy we're at Road America right now. It's kind of getting sick of Road Atlanta.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, that circuit's fun, but not very long, so you do go through certain corners quite a few times, I imagine, in the race. There's a Rivera have covered really 4 corners, and I was really boasting him there. Fastest driver on track. Not on this lap. 2-minute 0.4 on the last lap. This lap, he does a 2-minute 1.8, so that's 1.5 seconds slower than what he's been lapping at elsewhere. Elijah Mitchell, again involved in a battle with Ek Luke, just in front of him. 2 very good liveries battling one another, along with Claude Remillard behind as well for RSR.
We got cars in the pits. That is Jay Steffi for SRT Esports Black heading into the pit lane. And now we're starting to see some leaders going into the pits. We saw a few back markers, but Jay Steffi is one of the front runners. I believe he was in the top 10 when he started in that pit lane. And this pit lane's pretty long. Normal pit stop time is about 46 seconds, I believe. So you lose a lot of time here, even if it's just a straight line pit stop. It's massively long to get to your pit box.
Yeah, I remember doing a Daytona Crates type race around this place, and I was convinced do it on a 2-stopper, not a 3-stopper, just because it loses you so much time down the pit lane. So it was saving fuel for the entire time, but it wasn't the right decision. It was quite a bit faster to do a 3-stopper in the end. 3-stopper was absolutely crippling for your pace, and you just couldn't quite make it up. But an extra pit stop around this track is in this race going to really cost you very, very dearly, because you don't want to pick up any penalties for speeding, perhaps coming out of the pit lane or not serving a slowdown. That will really hamper your chances at a decent results. Of course, the drivers limited to 75% of fuel, so they should be able to go 3/4 of an hour, which is 45 minutes. And we are
We're approaching that mark right now.
Yes, and this is a high fuel consumption circuit, of course, because of the straights. So it might not even be 45 minutes. They might only be able to manage maybe 42, 43. And the earliest you could come into the pits then for this first stint was probably about half an hour, because then you'd have 2 45-minute stints, and that would make up the other 1.5 hours. So they've reached the first threshold, at least. As so for Steffi, who's already come into the pits.
Yeah, side by side in turn 3 with Rodriguez, and they almost have a little bit of inter-team controversy, as Kenny Rodriguez and Jay Steffi for both driving for SRT Esports. But you were saying, I was saying about pit lap time. Yeah, the pit time I said of 46 seconds, that's just for a drive-through penalty. We're seeing guys stop at the pits for about 28 seconds. That's a full minute that you're losing ground on the car ahead, and the car behind is gaining a minute on you. So lots of math are going to be done on when to go to pit and what feels right for you. Also, if you have a driver switch, that is going to come into a difference of its own as well. As the leading pair of Adian Lithuania for RSR Esports 912, pulling away from his teammate Justin Rem, as they've been good old buddies at the very start of this race. Pretty much nose to tail of each other for the first 30 minutes, and that's just dominance. But he's actually making his first pit stop. The leader is in the pits with 40 minutes into the session.
Yeah, fantastic then for Justin Ramey. Would have been a little bit concerned dropping a little bit further back, but can go further in this first stint. Might be able to pull back maybe a second of the 2.5 seconds that he was previously trailing. Also, Rivera into the pits in his Ferrari.
So we might see the undercuts, overcuts, sideways cuts, or driver changes happen right now as most of the cars are heading into the pits. I'll see if any of these drivers actually switch in these teams very soon. Let's talk with a few teams on when they were going to switch drivers. Some said around the hour mark or after the second pit stop. Certainly you would like your strongest guys to start out the race so you can gain a lot of spots and then pull it in, as we do have a driver switch going on. I believe that is Rory O'Shea switching for REI Esports.
Yeah, so O'Shea making changing from he was previously in that car then.
Rivera,
there you go. And yeah, so O'Shea, he's still stationary. 42 seconds now stationary for Rivera. Sorry, for Shea. Oh dear, it's going to be a long 2 hours. I mean, it's tricky to keep an eye on one driver, let alone multiple drivers. O'Shea back out onto the track though. 53 seconds stationary. So, but that hopefully he'll take it to the end. You'd think he would do, and you'd think he's just taken tires, perhaps as well. Seeing that I believe it's a free tire stop. If you change the driver, you may as well change the tires.
And now Justin Rem, following what his teammate did for not the RSR 912 car, he's come into the pit lane. So the quote leader has now came back to the pit lane, as well as Joshua Boatmart. They're all coming in right now. They're all coming into the pits. The one person, the farthest up is Lithuania, who is in 9th right now. We'll see if his undercut worked on everybody else to promote his lead. He was leading by 2 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, it's about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. So would have to have been an incredible in lap by the Joe who was running in 2nd place to get anywhere close, to overhaul that margin. Lithuania stays out, of course, as you'd expect.
Yeah, Justin Rem is still in the pit lane. This is a massive stop as Joshua Bolt's the de facto leader, but Adrian Lithway for RSR Esports 912 keeps P1. And now we're having a little bit of a pit lane battle between the teams, and we're a strategy. That's a one busy and very pink pit lane.
Sure is. Justin Rame, stationary for long amounts of time, 56 seconds. Rame was
He comes
for.
back out in P2 where he went in, but it's a long pit stop to fuel up your car and switch tires, and I believe he did that because comparing that to his teammate, Lithuania only was stopped for 26 seconds, as Rim was stopped for 56 for a fuel car. So we might have a little bit of jumping as James Heves jumped a lot of cars coming on to P3. He did that short pit, just fuel and go.
So you'd expect that Rame took tyres then. Meanwhile, Lithuania maybe didn't. So he should be quick in this next stint, then will Justin. Might enable him to do the undercut, but then, of course, if Lithuania takes tyres at his last pit stop, he'll be very quick for the last stint. So, can see some play for us. Q moves ahead, gets the car stopped for turn 2. Ahead of Daniel Noir. I think these guys were fighting before the pit stop even. Pew pitted a couple of laps earlier. But
well, now that everyone has done a pit stop, the strategy has worked for one driver who we saw him just at the very bottom of our timing tables. He's jumped up 10 spots right now. It's Devin Boo for Largely Gaming Purple, sitting in P16. And I believe he was battling it at the exit, but Devin would be very happy about that exit and about that strategy. He did do a short stop, so just fuel and go, but very happy, and I'm pretty sure his viewers on Twitch are going to be very excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. Also good livery, very purple. I think that's the adjective. Even if that's not even an adjective, but yeah, to describe that car, that is the word that you'd use. But no, great colour. There's not enough purple teams as well. Our co-commentator, Marco Barbanero, used to run 1050 Barbanero Racing, which used magenta as its colour, but plenty of teams now use kind of blues and blacks, bit dull colours, but good to see some
Gold.
purple out there, and some a lot of gold, and some
Well, look
pink
at this
out there
move.
today.
Steffi up the inside of Canada Quarter makes the move on Glenn Wiltse for REI Esports. But SRT boys must have loved that move in the garage.
Definitely. That was an important move to get a little bit of clean air. Now he's 7 seconds behind the next driver. Whelan, is he in the pits on our
Yes,
overlay?
he
He's
is.
saying that he is, yes. So just trundling down the pit lane. I swear he's already pitted though.
He might have got a speeding into the pit lane, this just serving a
Yes,
drive-through.
maybe.
We'll see if he actually stops, or is this actually a drive-through or a stop-go? Yeah, this is a stop. That's the second time in the pit. He might have had a little bit of an issue during his outlap and picked up some damage. Looking at the battle for 16th right now between Lucas Brown and Claude Remiad. RSR Esports Blue leading out Lucas Brown, who's driving under the Luke Brown team, which I just believe is a shortened name for himself. But Brown in that draft, stretching that Ferrari's legs, going down into the inside of turn 3, sends it up the inside into the braking zone and gets P16. What a move by Brown.
Yeah, that was nicely done. Not too much defense put up by his rival, but good cooperation between the two of them. And even at this point in the race, we're seeing a lot of overtakes for legitimate positions there. I mean, Brown and Remy are on the same strategy, and yet they're still going toe-to-toe at this point in the race. Wide for the Ferrari, and that small advantage he built is evaporated.
We'll pretty much throw that advantage out the window by going out into that gravel trap. Very hard to get out of there. It slows the car down, especially on the exit. You don't want to spin up those tires or else you go spinning around. And his tires going to be dirty. And the carousel and that little kink are going to need a little bit of lift off right now as Rimiard right on the back. Also behind him is Corolla and Mercer going side by side. But Corolla up the inside. You're talking to him before the race as Jeff Corolla for OneSim Pink makes up a move into P18.
Just a little bit of an update on the track temperature out there. This is 9:30 in the morning at the moment, so the ambient temperature getting a little bit warmer as this race goes on, and the track temperature is up to 30 degrees, which is 5 degrees hotter than it was at the start of the race, and that's just going to limit these drivers' grip a bit, and also going to take a little bit more out of the tyres, we assume. That's really wide for the Porsche. Loses the place. I'm sure he'll be blaming the hot circuit for that error. Yeah, the tyres should fall away from these drivers a little bit quicker. So drivers who are pitting for new tyres at their second pit stop, I can kind of see how that's going to work quite well for them, because the first half of this race is going to be kinder on the tyres than the second half of the race.
Yeah, looking back on some of these drivers with tires, and it's going to be very interesting to see their pace and everything. The two benchmark guys we were saying, the ones who took fuel and the ones who just didn't take fuel, were Lithway and Ram, and there are two best examples for this little experiment. Ram, last lap, did a 2 minutes 43 seconds. He took tires. Lithway, sitting in the lead, did a 2 minutes 1 second 45. So he's an entire second slower than the car in second place. So taking tires is the way to go, even if it loses you about 30 seconds in the pit stop.
Yeah, you shouldn't catch up by the end of this stint, but we'll almost certainly have the lead going into the final stint. I mean, we can almost be guaranteed on that, but of course, Lithway will have very good tyres at the end of the race to perhaps respond. Side by side with Pugh, now trying to get past Heb. This is the battle for 8th and 9th places. And Pugh moving ahead, trying to get the
a little bit of a
cut
tap
back
right there.
But almost a little bit too slow on the apex was Pugh, and he managed to hold up his rival a bit. A lot of damage on the rear wing of that Heb car. Must have got a real whack up the rear earlier on, and you can see straight away falling way behind his rival. Newell, I think, will be passed very quickly. Gets a little bit of a slipstream of the BMW ahead as well.
It's going to give him a lot of time in the corners, I must say. That added extra downforce as he holds the inside line. A great defensive move by Heb, as Pugh is running away from the battle for 9th place between Heb and Newell.
Heb's hung on to it again, and now got a little bit of a gap for himself. I mean, you're absolutely right about the downforce. I mean, we always see futuristic rear wings designed with like a curve in them, and I wouldn't be surprised that's helping him a bit. But down the straights, not going to be too advantageous, I imagine. Now 2 seconds, the gap between Pugh and Heb, when those two were the other way round earlier on in the lap.
That damage definitely holding him up. That's why my voice is doing random weird things right now.
I mean, we've got over an hour to go. An hour to go. We can't lose your voice right now.
All right. I'll try to hold it on for 9 more minutes.
Awesome.
Looking at Newell and Heb. Heb using that damaged wing to get a little bit of an advantage over Newell in these corners. But Newell primed and ready to unleash the prancing horse down this front straight onto the Porsche. Gets his car side by side. We're going to have a little bit of drag race right now. But with that damaged rear wing, I don't think Heb can do anything about Daniel Newell charging by. It's closer than I expected going into turn 1, but Heb very late on the brakes. But Newell makes the overtake, and now he's already starting to fly.
Yeah, we'll be frustrated that he's lost quite so much time to the driver ahead, though, of James P. Now 3 seconds they lost in 4/5 of a lap that time round. And needs to make sure he doesn't get re-overtaken here. The Porsche, whilst it's slowed down the straights, is gaining a bit, but puts his car in the middle of the circuit, really wide there for Heb. Just missed his braking points a little bit. And he will have to look back in his mirrors, I think, because there's going to be a few other drivers catching him by the end of this race. He has got 13 seconds, though, to Steffi behind. But Steffi is saying some good times at the moment, so needs to keep an eye out on that. There he is, for SRT Esport Black.
J7 been having a very great day so far. Already up 5 spots where he qualified. So we're looking at the battle for 16th right now with Claude Remillard trying to chase down Lucas Brown and Mike Mercer. Mike is both these guys have been having a very great race. Claude down on his qualifying spot. He dropped down 1 place. I believe he had a little bit of incident at the very start. So he's trying to gain up that 1 place for 17th right now, and he's all over that Ferrari.
Quite slow on that last lap, these two drivers. 2 minutes 6. I doubt that's their actual times. I've seen they're quite a bit far. I mean, they're set 2-minute ones in this race already. So whatever they're doing to one another, they are holding each other up significantly. That's 5 seconds lost, so quite incredible. Oh, and they fitted for tyres as well. So very strange. Ryan Whelan behind these guys, who of course is one of the fastest drivers out on circuit. He's 10 seconds behind. If they keep on lapping at this pace, he's going to be with them within about 5 minutes or so.
Looking up at Devin Booth. He's made a few more moves on track, up 12 spots from where he started. That Ferrari is just absolutely flying in that purple. But
I mean, it's helping, clearly.
Oh yeah, it's definitely helping him. There should actually be a scientific study that a interesting paint scheme, interesting color, doesn't actually add horsepower.
Until it's proven that that's not the case, I'm believing that it does as a bit of time.
Man, no one's gonna actually study that, so we're just going to use the sim, and it probably does. But remember, Devin Booth, he's short pitted. He's on a 1 stint old tires than the other car behind him, and that's Jeff Carolla for OneSim Peak. He went for the full pit stop, and comparing lap times, they're pretty much evenly matched, both sending a 2:03.23 and a 2:03.06 for the OneSim car. But Devin Booth holding his own. A little bit of off track right there. No off track disqualifications, no limit for incidents. So everyone's free to go where they want. Still keeping it on the line. Looking at our off track count, I want to see who's been the biggest extender of tracks. That would be John Macchione. 28 off tracks.
Yeah, and just for a little bit of a reference, of course, our system, not quite the same as iRacing. No offense to iRacing, I think our system is probably a little bit more accurate in terms of going off the circuit, but not quite the same as the instance that's the sim will pick up, but certainly is a very good indicator of he's pushing the boundaries of the track limits. Got so many grassy areas around this place. Just dip a wheel onto the grass. You don't even need to have all 4 wheels off the circuit, just 1 wheel onto the grass, and that's a 1x around this place. Good to see so much grass though. It's not like these vast tarmac runoff areas that we see in some modern circuits.
Booth having a little bit of bout with Jeff. Jeff onto the inside of turn 1. Jeff sends it into the apex. Booth trying to hold it around the outside. Use that Ferrari power to his advantage, but unfortunately falls down to Jeff Carollo. And Jeff being the main host of this session, he's going to be very happy about that.
I mean, I assume he's got admin rights in there, so I wouldn't mess with him by any means. I think actually now just backing off might be the wise thing to do, seemingly just lifting off halfway down that straight. Is he going to be under pressure into this next corner? No.
Yeah, Booth he lifted off and almost got into the back of Mercer into that braking zone. Mercer was charging up on them, and now we have a three-way fight for the 14th spot, but it looks like Jeff is starting to pull away from there as Booth is starting to focus his eyes on his worn tires and up to the car behind him.
Luke getting close to Rodriguez, just ahead. These guys started in the top 12 positions, but quite detached now. Luke had, yeah, what happened to? I'll say he pitted twice, and Rodriguez pitted twice, and spoilers, they're not going to get to the end of the race on the pit stops that they've done. The pit stop window for your second pit stop should start in... Still got about 17 minutes to go. You want to get to an hour and 15 into the race. You want to have less than 45 minutes to go. And even then, you kind of want to get within 40 minutes of the checkered flag to be confident that you're going to get to the end of the events. So, yeah, no chance that we're going to see any drivers come into the pits for any scheduled stops, at least for the next 10, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, it should be a little bit of a lull in action as we're approaching the halfway mark of the OneSim race for the cure.
Lutherweight, by the way, losing 17, sorry, down to 17 seconds now, the gap between the top two drivers. Whilst it's not a proper battle on track, it's almost kind of more competitive than that. All about Reign cutting that gap as little as possible going into their last pit stops. Remember, Reign was something like 25 seconds behind at one point off Lutherweight, but it's just been a second a lap faster pretty much every lap since they came out of the pits. And he will, like I said earlier on, almost certainly have the lead when it comes to second stops, as long as Lutherweight takes tyres, as we fully expect him to do so, but Lutherweight will be fast at the end of the race. Joshua Bolt rounding out the top three. And he's actually getting caught a little bit by Ignacio Hortel and Mark Akira Watanabe out there. That's the battle between third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, the drivers at the front of the field have pretty much checked out right now between fighting with each other. The closest fight we do have is battle for fourth, as you were saying, with Watanabe and Hortel very close with each other.
2 times faster than Bolt was Hortel on the last lap. And that gap come down significantly. All these guys on the same pit strategy, by the way. They all had pretty much the exact same pit stop time in the first stint, so they'll come into the pits roughly the same. That may be a couple of laps either way they could go. And of course, Hortel getting into the slipstream will help his straight line speed a little bit. Also expect these drivers to maybe go 1 lap further in this second stint as the track temperature rises. Their pace slows down a little bit, and also of course any drivers using old tyres will also have their pace reduced a little bit, and that just means that you use a little bit less fuel. You can imagine, of course, you're having to brake a little bit earlier, put on the power a little bit later. It does make a small difference, and could be important in terms of these guys' strategies. Want to go absolutely as far as they possibly can. Or, of course, as we've got a BMW stuck in the middle of the circuit, the leaders do a good job at avoiding it. That was Louis Delaluz there for Wolfpack Esports Pink. He gets back going. And that could have been very dangerous. Unusual to have a spin on the entry to the final corner. Bolt is going to have to go defensive, I think, but he's going to lose this position, perhaps. Hortel down the inside. It's for third place, and it's Ignacio Hortel who moves up into the podium places. It's been coming for a few laps. romping up to the back of his rival's tail, 1.3 seconds faster on that last tour. And Bolt is going to just try to stay in the slipstream, and who tried to retaliate straight away. 1.5 tenths of a second, the gap between the two of them as they go past the stricken Ferrari. Not close enough for a move on this occasion. Oh, as a spin between the two of them goes into the back of his driver, and we've got another spin as well. That was the driver who was going to take third place, and they've all had massive issues. Watanabe was going to just easily move through there, but just ran too much pace seemingly. The 25 admittedly was very slow as well, and then the damaged Ferrari making contact with Watanabe, who is still in third place but potentially with damage. So the drivers fighting for third, fourth and fifth, all facing massive issues in just one corner. And still they're going to have to get past the Ferrari once again through an awkward part of the circuit. The kink now, Watanabe will be careful, but at the same time will be quite frustrated as well, because whilst he did move from 5th to 3rd in that whole incident, he really has lost plenty of time from it. Does get past on this occasion. That's Simon Lezau. Oh, sorry, no, it's not Lezau. It's Corey Prosa, the Ferrari, just dropping down.
This battle for third is actually really heated up in the last 2 minutes. I had to actually step away to fix the stuff in my throat. And I came back to a good old show. Why does everything have to happen whenever I step away? Real battle at the back of that group is Hortle and Bolt. But we're going to switch over to O'Shea and Newell. O'Shea switched out drivers, getting used to the circuit and used to this track and the current conditions, but he's currently under pressure by Daniel Newell, who's been driving this car for a straight hour. Newell prepped up, looking down that inside line. He's got the apex, but it looks like O'Shea can hold it around the outside as he does make that move as of that Ferrari on Ferrari battles up to the battle for fourth. A little bit of lockup from James Bolt, or Joshua Bolt, into that braking zone. He's trying to get around Ignacio Hortel. Both these guys on the same team. It's just that James is running by himself and just wanting to run by himself. He is a part of RSR.
So it's even worse than that. They came together on the last lap down at turn 5. So that's now twice than the RSR drivers have come together. To be fair, there are lots of them. So yes, they understand. But this isn't the most serious events in the world. There's no championship to fight over, just a one-off event for these guys. We'd still like to come away on the podium, undoubtedly.
Yeah, there are 8 RSR registered teams.
Wow, okay.
I'm pretty sure there are also a few drivers that are singular that may be running the RSR paint, but this battle for 8th right now is going on. Newell. This is reminding me of the Ferrari Fixed series when we just see 2 Ferraris next to each other. But these are 2 Ferrari GTE cars, not the GT3s.
Yes. Which, of course, you have to buy separately to the GT3, which I recall many people were frustrated with when that was announced. But they are 2 different cars. I think they're even different sizes, so I mean, you can understand iRacing's logic. Corolla, by the way, has just had an off. And he's lost probably about 10 seconds. We'll keep an eye out on this, though, for now, because Newell might be able to get back past O'Shea into turn 1.
Oh, this is a copycat last time, but Newell going very late on the brakes, jumping up into P8, but O'Shea now trying for the charge. We saw Newell defending onto the inside, switching back to the outside. That's not considered a block right there. That's his line suggestion. But Newell and O'Shea having a little bit of a drag race as they head into turn 3. And now O'Shea on to the outside line, early onto the brakes, tried for the fake out move of the other car does not work for him as Newell is running away now.
Yeah, that's for 8th place. They're still 23 seconds off the podium. And they've got 9 seconds to catch up to James Pugh up the road as well. So, a little while to catch up for these guys.
Battle for 4th right now between Bolt and Hortle.
So,
These
Bolt's
two
really
guys.
overtaking him then.
Yes, he has.
And the car ahead of them is not Watanabe. That is a back marker. I think I mentioned his name earlier on. A Pro Sword? No, that was the back marker earlier on.
Regan. I think that's Regan Jr.
I think it's Lazo. Simon Lazo.
Oh, yeah, that is Lazo. Yeah, Regan's not on the track. I was just looking for the lapped Porsche. He was the latest lapped Porsche. So, yep, that was Lazo. But it looked like Bolt got around him very easy. Hortle had a little bit of a holdup as he had to overtake him around the outside of that turn. So Bolt is happy under his helmet right now, and Hortle might be a little bit frustrated as he has to chase down Joshua Bolt, who is bolting away.
Ho ho.
Oh, and Hortle, little bit of a mistake. Turn 3, very risky re-entry, hopping over the curbing as we saw Porsche take flight. Oh, and behind him, Lazo goes into the wall.
Already one lap down. Fortunately for him, he's not fighting with anyone on circuit, really. But I think maybe even clipping the wall as well was Lazo. There he is. And you can still see that Ferrari of Pro Sir doing a really good job at just nursing that car around. Admittedly, he did get involved in a collision earlier on, but on the most part, we've seen him keep out of other drivers' way. Here was Whelan then, coming in for his second pit stop.
See around 30-minute or 45-minute stints, as I think we're gonna see the massive pit stops happen at 1:15 right now for everyone to get ready and finally bring this race into its final sectors with just 50 minutes left in the OneSim GTR race for the Cure.
Corolla catching up to Booth at the moment. Of course, had that issue earlier on with Corolla. But has he got through there? Yeah, he does. So comfortable there. 3 seconds now to catch up to Lucas Brown. But yeah, frustrating day for Corolla after that issue earlier on. It's only made the one pit stop, so in terms of that, his race is going pretty well. In terms of when the drivers will pit, they still need to go a little bit further, I think. Yeah, 1 minute 11 or so into the race now for these guys. So you really need to get to about 1 hour 15 if you're going to get to the end of the race. And for the drivers who have already changed tyres, should get to about 1 hour 30 or 1 hour 25. Drivers who haven't pitted, expect them to come in as soon as the window's open to get those fresh tyres and get the benefit for as much of the remaining portion of the race. So Aidan Luthwaite, the highest up driver who didn't take tyres earlier on, he will probably come into the pits within the next 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, he lost 10 seconds already coming out of the pits after we gave our last comparison between Rams and Luthwaite's pace. He was setting 2:01s as Ren was setting 2 minutes. Now both of them are setting 2:01.67s, sitting around the same pace, but that went from 22 seconds all the way to 12. So tire strategy definitely going to be a factor for the lead. Also, Mark Akira Watanabe did pit for tires as well as Justin Rem.
Yeah, they're now half a minute behind those guys. again, I mean, the difference between these guys isn't that big in terms of pace. It's just that Lutherwhite and Rame have just been absolutely error-free, pretty much just driving as though you drive a practice session in clear air, just making laps. Meanwhile, Watanabe and Co have been fighting with one another, and that's what's lost them that much time.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fighting. There's been a lot of incident avoidance, and then I had a little transmission from one of the drivers saying these guys were very aggressive on the start, and there was a bit of a mess in the midfield. And Watanabe, he's been moving up. He moved up 2 spots from where he qualified, so the RSR 913 joining the Porsche 123 for RSR, but I think they'll be very happy to see all 3 their badged Porsche teams getting up there for 912, 913, and 911. All those cars. Certainly not in the preferred driver order, but can't be perfect. Which is pretty much what these guys have been this entire time.
Yeah, pretty much. Battles amongst the top 9, or top 8, separating a little bit now. Over 1 second between each one of the drivers. Also, Vaughan Blaze we haven't really talked about a whole lot today, but running in 6th place. Didn't take tyres at his first pit stop, so expect him in quite soon. James Hebb trying to get past Rory O'Shea, who's been falling back a little bit in this stint. He took over from his teammates earlier on. Yes, you're going to have to, every time I mention it, you're going to have to jog my memory with that. But yeah, Rivera, yeah, of course, was very quick earlier on. Hasn't quite lived up to that, has O'Shea. You'd expect O'Shea to take the car to the end, not change drivers again, but I mean, they might have a change of decision, but it seemed as though Rivera was the slightly faster driver earlier on, as the teammates going to let each other past. Ryan Whelan is that, just allowing his... Oh, sorry, John Macchione. No, sorry, it was... yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, Simon Latzel? Yeah, Simon Latzel. There you go. Let's him past. We'll just take this opportunity to thank everyone who's tuned into this event so far. I hope that you're enjoying it, especially if you're involved in one of the teams taking part in this race. Certainly, thanks for putting on such a great show. And if you haven't already, please leave a like on this video, give a subscribe to the channel, and check out our other social media platforms as well.
Yeah, lots of racing here on the Apex Racing TV. You can check out our full schedule in the description. I'm pretty sure we would like to see you throughout the week, based on the normal series that we usually cover. I cover the BSR FX5 Pro series and the Open Strength of Field Indy Road series. And Sam, what events do you cover?
Well, I do the Sim Racers World GT series on a Wednesday. That is on the iRacing Esports Network, by the way, so also subscribe to that, because we broadcast on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday European nights on that. And I also do the Euro V8s on a Saturday evening, and the Formula 3.5 series on a Saturday evening as well. So certainly check out those broadcasts along with all our other broadcasts. If you're interested in GTE racing, of course, check out the World GT Championship, which is on tomorrow evening, a similar time to this, and that will also be on the iRacing Esports Network. Some of the best GTE drivers in the world racing in that.
Yeah, I saw somebody complaining that the pros can drive the GT3s, but regular people cannot drive the Ferrari GT3. They're just slow. Well, these guys can absolutely throw a Ferrari GT3 around the track.
Absolutely.
And I believe Tyler is a part of that as well. So all 3 of us are on the iRacing Esports Networks on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But back to the action up on track. This is the battle for 3rd. Watanabe, Bolt, and Hortle. And it's an RSR team fight, so this might just be treated as a practice session. But we've crossed that 1 minute 15 session, as we can see the pit stop bar pop up, and wow, that's a lot of cars in there. Might start seeing a few people in here. Jay Steffi's in there. Jeff Carollo's in there. Cecil Bagay, I believe he's switched drivers out for Elijah. He's taking over the OneSim GTR white car. But back to the battle for third between Bolt, Watanabe, and Hortle. These three guys all on the same strategy, so it's going to be when they're going to go into the pit stop and if they're going to try to make a move before the pit stop. Because with less than 45 minutes remaining in this session, it's going to be very tricky when these guys going into the pits. But it looks like Watanabe going into the pits, and that's a very interesting decision. Because he already went for the tires, so I can definitely go 45 minutes on those. But this is going to be very interesting to see what the RSR 913 car does.
Yeah, so yeah, a bit surprised by Watanabe going into the pits quite so early. Maybe after that contact he had earlier on, wants to pick up the faster pair ASAP if that was affecting him a bit. Must have that collision with one of the back markers earlier on, but it didn't seem to be hindering him too much. Had good pace. Luke going side by side. He's on the outside at the carousel. Going to be a few marbles out on that part of the track, but at the same time, a little bit less rubbered in, a little bit less slick, and maybe a little bit of extra grip as well for him out there. He gets ahead of Devin Booth, who is just dropping down the order a little bit. I think he got up to
P10.
13th, oh, P10 in fact at one point did Booth, but just dropping back. Of course, they start in 26th place, so he's done a very good job up to this point. Oh, as Remy-Yards into the wall, that's a lot of damage, I think, for him. He will be able to get that back to the pits, get his faster pair as long as he hasn't used it already, but Remy-Yard was running a little bit further up the order previously.
And we have another car in the pits. Rodriguez is heading into the pits, as well as Remy-Yard, as you were saying. Lithway still not heading into the pits. He did complete last lap. We are expecting him to go into the pits around this time, actually.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't pitted yet. I mean, wild card, is he going to take tyres? I mean, he's not losing a whole lot of time per lap. He was only 1/100th of a second slower than Justin Rehm on that last lap. Is he going to do the whole race without pitting tyres?
Well, it does save you about 30 seconds not doing it. It's just a risk of grip, but he's been setting consistent 2-minute, 1-second times, almost identical with second place of Justin Rehm. Drim did go in for new tires, so we don't expect him to change out these tires, but Adrian Lithway might be looking to triple stint these tires that he's currently on, which will be a strategic masterstroke if it does absolutely work. It certainly is a gamble.
I don't think we've seen anyone else try this, really. Just thinking of the other drivers who didn't take tyres in their first stint. Vaughan Glace in 5th place. Also, Watanabe's already pitted. Luke, no, he's pitted twice.
That's it. It's just two guys.
As well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Booth. Don't forget about Devin Booth. He's going to get mad at me if he watches this back over. As Watanabe is in the pit lane with Flanagan. We're seeing some cars. The pit lane is going to become more active right now, as this was around the time we were expecting everyone to start pouring in there. Lithway stayed out once more. I think he's going for that 1 minute, 1 hour 30 mark that we set for another splash and go. Maybe try out these tires, or maybe just wait for Rem to go into stop. But Rem's already made a stop. Apparently.
Sorry? Rehm.
Apparently, Rem's made a stop. I'm not seeing it on our
No.
second live timing software, but it's showing up on our screen that he's made 2 stops.
quite strange. He certainly hasn't. I mean, if he did, it was so quick we didn't see it.
Nah, I'm pretty sure they don't have Guido from Cars on his picture. Certainly a highlight reel. Look at this battle for 7th. Mitchell and O'Shea having a little bit of a scrap right there. I think that Porsche right behind him is a lapped car. But they're going into the final corner. Let's see if any of these guys go into the pits. 1 and 2, and yes, they do. Don't speed into the pit lane or go into the back of them now.
I always question. I don't think I've ever seen it, but of course, if a driver goes and whacks you up the back going into the pit lane, of course you're going to get speeding penalty, and they might not. The rebounds on them might be enough to not get a speeding penalty. Never seen it before, but I feel it's only a matter of time until it does. I'm sure it's happened to other drivers.
It's happened to me.
Oh yeah?
Twice.
In what car?
IndyCar, and I think one time in the Mercedes GT3, as our leader, Luthway, finally decided to go into the pit stop. We'll see what strategy he goes to. It's happened in real life a few times, but they have eyes and a brain, so it's not a computer automated system, and they've given penalties to the person hitting them, but once again, this was NASCAR, so their rules and systems are kind of weird sometimes. I'm going to get a lot of hate from that.
Luthway into the pit. If it's more than 20 seconds stationary, then he's not taking tyres. But if it's more than that, then he will be taking tyres. 26 seconds, of course, to take tyres, and you have to do it separately from the fuel. That's why it's such a penalty to take them. But of course, understandably, you get a whole lot more grip when you do.
Well, we'll see in 3, 2, 1. Does the car go up on jacks? Yes, it does. He's taking tires. Go ahead, counting that down. I was timing it.
Well, this is going to be a fun chase to the end of the race. He's going to be a whole lot faster. And like I said, the track temperature rising, it was 30 degrees last time we checked, now 31 degrees. So it's getting hotter. The tyres are going to degrade quite a bit more than they were at the start of the race. So I think this is the right strategy from Luthway. It's just down to whether he's now got the pace to catch up to his teammate.
Yeah, Justin Ram is the car ahead of him, and he's going to be very, very pleased to hear that his teammate is now in the pits. And should he go into the pits this lap and carry on, or try to get another lap on him and keep using that pace, because all he has to do is splash and go, as Luthway comes out in 4th place. So we got a little bit of a traffic jam right here.
Yeah, a couple of back markers, I believe these guys are. It's starting to make a bit more of an effect in this race as we're 90 minutes in, almost. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a contact, and that's going to be into the wall,
there's
surely.
contact to the wall! And, oh, that might have collected one of the RSR Porsches.
I'll tell it was.
Ignacio is in the wall, and that was after his 2nd pit stop. He's going to go into the pit lane. Let's ride on board with Ignacio Horto at this incident out of turn 3, because bam, it's in the wall, just nowhere to go. He does get collected. He gets into the grass and into the wall. It doesn't get stopped. He doesn't get stuck or hit the wall, I believe, but he did tow himself back into the pits. This is absolutely big news up at the front. I don't think Luthway was involved in there. He was just ahead of it. But, oh, that's unfortunate for the RSR 911 team.
So it was also Watanabe involved in... So no, Watanabe wasn't involved in that. He was involved in an earlier incident. Do we know what happened to Watanabe? He's been in the pits now for 5 minutes.
Collision with a teammate, I think, and he might have damage. He already used his fast repair. This is his third pit stop.
So that promotes Daniel Newell then into the podium places for now. Vaughan Glace is leading the way. Still hasn't pitted for his second pit stop. As Mercer comes into the pits. He's already taken tire, so it should be a quick pit stop for him. Should come out somewhere around Rivera, I imagine. He's got back into the car, replaced O'Shea out there. So Rivera, should be a quick car. The number 6 Ray Esports.
Yeah, Rivero is back in the car now, and he was O'Shea. He replaced again. So these two guys swapping drivers in. O'Shea had a very good stint, but we'll see if Rivera can move up some more places and take advantage, because Eric Luke and Mike Mercer are in the pits ahead of him.
They took tires as well, so that's taking tires at both stints, and I think a few teams adopting that strategy. Vaughan Glace is into the pits, so Justin Vane will take the lead of this event for. No, well, it's not the first time. He went one lap further in the first stint as well, but for the second time, then he takes the lead of this race.
And he still has not gone into the pit lane.
No, despite our timing screen saying that he definitely has.
This guy is ludicrous. Second place coming in to the pits as well, but now as Newell went to the pit lane, back to the two usual suspects up at front, Rem and Luthaway. A little bit switched, 19.2 seconds separate them, and Luthaway is losing time to Rem a little bit, but no, Rem is losing time to Luthaway. Luthaway went into the pits on those fresh tires. So, Rem, his pit stop might be in jeopardy, as it looks like he might be coming out behind Bolt.
Sorry, so Rem, apologies, Rem has pitted then. So Rem pitted one lap later than Luthwaite. We must have missed that one. It says he's coming to the pits 2 times, but he's coming to the pits twice. So Luthwaite with the fresher tires, it's kind of what we expected, that Luthwaite would be behind at this point in the race, because of course Rem had the fresh tires for that second stint and was much faster. But
yeah, that was
now Rem is on the old tires, and Luthwaite should be able to get close to catching him up.
Yeah, I was looking at the pit lap time, and that time for him was 33 total seconds. So crazy time by Rem right there. It was a short fuel time, I must say, and I really wanted to know where that second pit stop was. I'm guessing it was him just his like little blip out of existence made that trigger the pit stop thing.
Yeah, I can only imagine it was something to do with that.
We'll just say that.
Yes. Like I said, maybe Guido was on the Tiger. Maybe he transported. I don't know. There's a lot of different things, but not usually an area that we face. Also, Eric Luke apparently is coming to the pits 4 times, but again, I doubt that's the case, seeing that he's running in 12th place at the moment. The first driver who's 1 lap down. We're going to see a lot of drivers 1 lap down, I think, in this race. Something like everyone bar the top 7 or 8.
That's just showing the pace of cars just running around here. As I do think we do have a few cars retired, as we have trying to look at the cars that are moving, about 25 cars out on track. 25, no, 20. I think about 24 cars are out on track now. 18 are actively out on track. We have a few cars that were out at the very start of this race, just finishing out damage and trying to get some laps in and finish this race, which is something I really appreciate about guys. Like, they've been having very bad races. Sometimes they just pit and then leave, but sometimes these guys will get into the pits and be like, I'm not quitting, and then just do their own laps and enjoy racing. And that's what look forward to in a few of these drivers.
Yeah, their tenacity is certainly very impressive. And the drivers who have retired, I imagine probably used their faster pair that first pit stop, then had a big wreck, and fortunately didn't have anything to use there for their second pit stop. So good resilience. And this race originally meant to be 4 hours, and I think that's why kind of 2-hour race is good. If you get to an hour in and you crash in a 4-hour race, like, well, I can't be bothered to turn around for the next 3 hours. But 2-hour race, you can kind of see the end in sight. So certainly an encouragement for the drivers to continue that little bit further.
As we have 27 minutes left, it's going to be very fun to see who's going to be taking it out at the, racing it out for the front. Rem and Luthaway, the battle for first. New tires versus no tires. Luthaway, last lap, 2 minutes 62. Rem's last lap, 2 minutes 158. And they're separated just by 17 seconds. So if this pace continues, Luthaway and Rem might be racing it out for a victory and give us a great show to end out this charity stream.
Seems as though he needs maybe about 1.5 seconds a lap, something like that, if he's going to catch. And it seemed when Rem had the new tyres, that effect of the new tyres seemed to decrease its effect as the stint went on. So he needs a big gain right now, does Luthwaite, if he's going to have any chance. Of course, Glace not pitting for tyres whatsoever. Another short pit stop for him, 22 seconds. He's 7 seconds behind Joshua Bolt, but 18 seconds ahead of Daniel Newell. This race opening up for many drivers. It really looks as though it's going to be absolute domination from RSR earlier on in this event. But since then, it's opened up significantly. Rivera looks as though he was going to be the main challenger, but he's down in 9th place at the moment. Admittedly, setting some very strong times, but only a couple of drivers probably in reach for him to catch by the end of the race. He's catching up to Cesar Bagay currently in the car number 77. The driver who was driving the 77 was James Hebb. He was doing well himself earlier on. Also, I'm looking at California and West as the clubs. What's West? I mean, to me, West is California. So is West like
Arizona,
Nevada and stuff?
Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Iowa, Idaho.
Okay.
No, Iowa's Mid-Plains.
Washington.
Oregon, Washington.
So basically
No,
everything...
Texas has its own club, which is the best club.
Yeah. So West is everything but everything West apart from California.
Yeah, kind of. The
Yeah.
way that iRacing does its clubs is very simple. Some states have their own clubs. Some states are in a group. It's like the UK and I club. Some country has their own. Some countries don't. Iberia, mainly Spain, and around there. But clubs are weird. But I do know that if you want your club name to say something different, we do have a service, a free lifetime service available at sdkgaming.com that allows you to put in your driver information, and if you end up in one of our Strength of Field broadcasts or any of our league broadcasts, your team name will show up, as well as a photo if you want it, or a video.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool piece of software. Haven't quite exploited that enough of some of the drivers for their profiles. But no, you can have a lovely photo of yourself if you want.
Yeah, I know Tyler has a picture of his car in real life. Is that's a car in the wall? That is the BMW, the pink BMW. I think that is that Glenn White's? I think that might have been Glenn. No, it's not Glenn. Glenn still hasn't came across the line.
Oh, Watanabe.
No, that was right.
It's
It's a BMW.
Ah, who is this BMW? None of us can work it out.
Ryan
there
Whelan.
you
It was
go.
Ryan Whelan.
Thanks to Tyler Maxson, our camera guy for today.
As it looks like Bolt's off track as well. This might have been a car that's momentarily going off track to gain a little bit of advantage. We're just running a little bit wide. But you can tell if the car's off track in our overlay if the name number turns red. As Mercer and Luthway is showing right now, but Luthway is way off track. He's been visiting off track. That's Mike Mercer on the Apex, and Luthway has been on and off the track. And, oh no! That is a spoiler missing from the Porsche, and he's spun around out of turn 1.
Oh, he's being collected as well, seemingly afterwards. Pushing too hard.
No, he just collected himself.
The car. And then I think there's a Ferrari afterwards. Oh, he reverses into him. And that's how he loses the rear wing. Oh, and then there's another contact as well.
That was Rivera getting into him. Oh, that is unfortunate for Adrian Luthway and the RSR Esports 912 team. They were leading this race for most of it. They will have a faster pair ready to go as he's in the pit lane, but he's lost 13 spots now. And Justin Ram and the RSR 911 team is the last badged official 3-car team for the RSR Porsche team, as both their drivers have had incidents and well, crashed out of the race.
It's denied us what would have been a fantastic chase. Ray maybe had the pace anyway to hold on. I think he would have probably been the favourite. But it would have been fascinating to see if there was any chance for his teammate to come back at him right at the end. Means that this is quite a simple win for him now. 3/4 of a minute ahead of the rest of the field.
He could just drive through the pit lane and close the gap to Bolt.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we've seen a lot of action in this race. I don't think it's a done deal yet, this race win. Bolt just had a very slow lap. Well, he had a 2:06 before. 2:03 is not fantastic. Also, Glaze had a 2:13. He is on very old tyres, but I doubt that's why he was quite that slow.
I think it was to avoid an incident.
Yeah, probably.
So they go ahead of the Corvette Corral and down the long straight. We're looking at our leader, Justin Rim, and the following teammate of Bolt. But it's still an RSR 123. It's just not the same 123 that we've had.
Fabrizio Rivera, despite that incident, despite that contact, still with good pace. He's catching up to Cesar Pagay, and of course with the crash for Luthway earlier on, it makes him one place quite simply without having to do too much effort.
Right, still one spot down on his qualifying time. He started in P7, and this is the battle for 7. He will be very pleased to get that position back, even with that small front end damage that he probably has. That iRacing probably fixed a little bit after. Oh, that was the REI Porsche car, not the REI Ferrari.
Oh, was that? Okay.
They both have the same color, but here we have Rivera side by side with Begay into turn 3. Laid on the brakes, go Rivera! And Rivera snipes up P7.
8.5 seconds to catch up to Flanagan. On that last lap, he was nearly a second faster. He might just have enough time to get the top 6 out of this one, Rivera.
Yeah, 20 minutes remaining. We've seen the pace that he has and the consistency. He could definitely catch for the top 6 spot. And something at the front could also happen to one of the leaders. As I want to shout out REI team boss Alex Sinclair for letting us know on which team car that was. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, and the Porsche car actually not doing too bad in 9th place either at the moment with Glenn Witzel in that.
That's a BMW.
Oh, sorry, that's a BMW. Where's the Porsche then?
I think it's in the pits.
Ah, okay.
Actually, I'm not sure where the Porsche is.
Let us know, Alex. Sorry that I feel like he's doing our job for us at the moment, but I mean, yeah, we should be informed.
Oh, there's Cal.
Ah,
He's
brilliant.
14th.
Up 11 places.
You can see how I got confused with the car colors. They're the same color,
Yes.
the white and green.
I mean, they are completely different shape. But
The camera's
I mean,
at an angle, okay?
I didn't even question it, to be honest, when you said I was 100% believing you, so I'm probably worse. Eli Mitchell, the highest gaining driver so far in this race, up 13 places. Driving for the number 28 team, OneSim. And he's been driving this entire race by himself. Has he come into the pits for tyres at all? Maybe pitted for tyres in his first stint, I think. Didn't pit for it the second time. And yeah, it's just really worked well. No offense to Elia, I mean, I'm just forgetting where he gained all those places, but very under the radar. We was outside the top 10 earlier on, but a comfortable 5th place.
I think in the pit stops, mainly it's where Elijah's built up a lot of ground. Got Kenny Rodriguez for SRT Esports Green. He's had a good race. Jeff Carlo, though, in 11th. Up 11 spots. He's having I think that's one of the RSR cars behind him. Mike Mercer, we saw him have a little bit of an incident. Just Cal Herbert. And Jeff Carlo going side by side.
So the majority of the battles kind of calming down on the most part. Still Rivera and Baguet, who we were watching earlier on, the closest battle out there. The next closest is about 6 seconds, which is between Rodriguez and then Corolla, and then a further 6 seconds back to Mercer as well. But, I mean, still plenty of opportunity for mistakes and still plenty of cars running out on circuit. Looks like, into the wall. It's Herbert.
Herbert late on the brakes. I think he might have got into the grasses a little bit. And that just shows you the toll of a 2-hour endurance race so close to the end, and then a lapse in judgment, and unfortunately mistakes do happen. Callum Herbert up 11 spots going into the wall. It's looked like he picked up a lot of damage and he's going to continue on, but that was a very strange incident.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of gravel out on the exit of that corner, but not enough there. I think it's a tyre barrier, so it shouldn't affect the car quite as much as if it was a concrete one, and he had a bit of a gap anyway, but yeah, certainly not going to help his situation by any means. Already a lap down on the race leader, of course. Rivera now 5 seconds behind Flanagan. It's not almost certain that he's going to catch and pass Flanagan, I think, by the end of this race. Baguet also really picking up his pace, and he's got someone to follow. Those two hounding down David Flanagan. Just heading the 0.24 cut. You can probably just see him in the distance now, certainly down these straights. They'll be able to see the rear wing of that Ferrari. Lap 52, the race leader is on. You can see Rem is almost going to be able to lap these guys. I think potentially up to Flanagan. He's going to be able to lap. It shows the amount of speed he's had around this very long circuit, of course, to be quite so dominant. He's been running by himself for the majority of the event, and even at this point when
it
he's
was a brake failure.
Oh, who was that for?
Herbert went over the radio. It was a private team radio. It was, quote, the brakes took a vacation.
Ah.
So, not only is the drivers put to the test, but also your equipment. So we quote Max Verstappen in the 24 hours spot where his brakes famously just disconnected from the. Oh, we got a slide! Bagay drifting around the corner and stopped on the exit, and hopefully get that car around before anyone else comes around that corner. But that is very unfortunate for Sezo Bagay for the OneSim GTR White team, as they stay in the same position, but they lost a lot of time to Rivera. 9 seconds.
Yeah, and like I said, it looked inevitable that he'd catch up to Flanagan as well. But not anymore. He was within 5 seconds of Flanagan at one point, but upwards of about 15 seconds now. Big shame for Bagay now. Maybe he allows the pressure a little bit off Rivera, can focus totally on what's ahead of him. He cuts another 1.1 seconds out of the 024 car's lead on that last lap, and now gone down to the last 11.5 minutes. So probably about 6 laps to go. Rivera almost with a slide now, taking a lot of curb at the penultimate corner.
What a save by Rivera. A little bit of a four-wheel slide, but we see Flanagan, that blue BMW, the SimDab car, and the REI Esports car are locking eyes. I'm pretty sure Flanagan's looking at his rearview mirror. That Delta is definitely coming down. He was 1 whole second faster than Flanagan last lap. Rivera, with just 12 minutes remaining in the OneSim race for the Cure. Can he take P6? Just a few more laps to go. About 6 more laps to go. Can Rivera catch up to Flanagan and then overtake Flanagan?
Question where Rivera could have been in this race if it weren't for the driver swaps. Of course, I had his teammate O'Shea, and O'Shea wasn't slow by any means, but I think just a few things have gone wrong for them. Also taking tyres at both pit stops, which is part of the reason why Rivera is quite so quick. But it seems as though not taking tyres at one of the stops, at least, was probably the right thing to do. Saves you a little bit of time, but a couple of other things happening to that number 6 car for this event. But I mean, a 6th place would be a very good recovery, and potentially even better than what they're aiming for before the start of the race.
Also, REI Esports, apparently this is their first iRacing event.
Wow, okay. Not bad.
From what I could get from Alex's message to me, that it's our iRacing league starts next week, first time on this platform. We entered today to recruit new members. Would love a shout out, good guys. They seem like they are good guys indeed.
I mean, if you want to join a competitive team, REI Esports certainly one to watch out for. Not quite sure what other platforms they
This was a second event. Their first was Jimmy Broadbent's event.
Oh, Jimmy Broadbent? No, still. Don't know what event that was. Was that one of the...
That was one of the charity events that he ran.
Ah, cool, okay.
It was the one after Matt's. A lot of charity events happening in the iRacing community recently.
I mean, we got one next week as well on Apex Racing TV. A 6-hour event next Sunday. I mean, it's good to see the platform being used for such events. And of course, a lot of money gets raised through these events. I think we had the race for Alex a few months ago. I think that raised something like $2,000, which was quite incredible.
A lot of streamers donated to that. I know a few of our drivers and a few of our teams are making separate donations as well to the Susan G. Komen Foundation during this race. I know the race sign-up fees all went to the Susan G. Komen Foundation, and what Elijah said, we raised about $800 within 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure that's going to go over to about 1,000 plus at the end from a few of these drivers.
Yeah,
But Rivera, definitely closing in on Flanagan.
Yeah, 2 seconds now. Over 1 second faster again on that last lap. It's pretty much the same margin every single lap. And he's got time to
Oh, it's
get
2
it done.
seconds this time. No, it was 1 second.
1 second, yeah. I think this lap will be yeah, another second for him. I mean, he's not going to have a whole lot of time to go, but it should be enough. And we've seen overtaking very possible around this track, and that good top speed for the right really should help him quite a bit. Justin Ray almost lapping them, which would be quite disappointing for Rivera, but I don't think he's going to quite catch up with Rivera. Of course, if Rivera did manage to catch and pass Rivera and Flanagan, it would mean that they'd have one less lap to complete. But he's going to just miss out, it seems, on catching them up. We'll catch up to Bagay though. Just a few seconds up the road. You can see him right there.
Yeah, Rem with 7 minutes remaining in the session and a comfortable 51-second gap on this fine Sunday evening for RSR Esports. That 9-11 team very happy, and I was expecting Rem to hop out of the car and have a driver switch, but no, they stayed in there. So some drivers that we were expecting to, some teams they were expecting to have a driver switch, they just decided to all stay in there. That's probably why there were so many RSR cars up out of the field, because this was originally scheduled to be a 4-hour endurance race. Then we shortened it to 2 hours to make it more viewer friendly and get more signups in here. And I think that's the, I think that's what caused the RSR explosion at the top.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, probably not planning on entering quite so many cars, but no, certainly I think this short event was probably the right way to go, because it's been a lot of intense action. We haven't been bored for this entire race. Constantly battles either occurring or boiling, as one is right now. That's 1.3 at last lap, only half a second faster for Rivera, but he is almost there. Dragging himself closer and closer. Track temperature, by the way, started off at 25 up to 32, so it's just been creeping up in this past hour. Really increased a lot in the first 40 minutes or so in the race, but this past hour or so, it has not changed too much. But these drivers' tyres now getting really quite old, I imagine, particularly for Vaughan Blaze, who looks like he's going to take away a podium from this. Hasn't changed tyres all race long. I believe the only driver in the field who has achieved that. And to be fair, running in third place, it could have perhaps been the right decision. I mean, we don't really know what was the right call. Everything seems to have had its merits, I guess, in this race so far. And not sure if maybe taking tyres at the first stint, taking tyres at the second stint, or not taking tyres at all was the correct decision.
Well, this is why we're up in the commentary booth and not down there on the pit wall, because yes. they're paid the big bucks to get the strategy right. We're paid the big bucks to make sure y'all have the best viewing experience possible. And with 5 minutes to go, I think y'all are about to get a very great show, as Rivera and Flanagan have joined up together as the battle for 6 is lining up with these final 5 minutes in these few final laps for the GTR race for the cure. Going to the carousel right now. Rivera all over that BMW, using that Ferrari power. He's going to have the speed coming down after this kink into Canada corner. Is Flanagan going to defend this position hard?
Here he goes, side by side. This could be quite simple into Canada corner, and there he goes, backing out of it very early was Flanagan. Gets it stopped as Rivera and moves up into place. Still 3 more laps to go for these guys, so plenty of time Rivera had on the table, and just needs to be error free. He's got 8.5 seconds to catch up to Mitchell. That gap could go down to about 5 seconds by the end, but I doubt he'll get nearly close enough. But maybe the wise thing to do there from Flanagan. He really didn't fight that too much.
Yeah, Elijah is our biggest mover for the OneSim team, up 13 spots in his own event. really can't say that's a rigged result. It just shows you on how good and consistent Elijah is.
I mean, maybe he's been practicing for this for about 10 years and finally has been able to put this event on. And,
I believe
very well.
I believe some teams may have at least some teams may have been practicing ever since they signed up to the event. And they did say they opened up signups 2 weeks ago. And so they've been putting in a lot of practice for it.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, you've probably got a decent amount of experience around this this track, especially if the drivers who do the iRacing Le Mansos or the endurance iRacing Le Mansos surely gonna have a decent amount of experience. So one of the most used tracks, of course, and as it should be, because I mean, look at this place. It's awesome for multi-class racing.
It's beautiful. It's got massive elevation changes. It's got fast corners. It's got slow corners. It's got everything a driver wants. Great drafting zones. Just corners where it can just absolutely just send it in there. I'm a big fan of those. Not a big fan of receiving the sending, but it's racing. Oh.
Wow.
Apparently Lozelle was his first day learning the track. I know I had a few guys who didn't even own the track until yesterday. Actually, they didn't even own the car until yesterday. So I knew a few new drivers were taking place, but in the final 2 minutes, I think we are on. Nope, we're not on the last lap yet because he still hasn't came across the line. But Justin Rem is just about to take the white flag for one last lap for the OneSim race for the cure here at Road America. And I think he deserves his victory lap.
Yeah, you can cruise around this one. Bagay letting him past. No points in fighting that. I mean, you have to do one less lap, of course. So everyone up to David Flanagan running in 7th place is lapped. We're now 55 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. That's close to half a lap clear. It hasn't been totally done. And remember, I mean, he only started properly setting some laps in the lead about an hour and 20 minutes into the race when his teammates Aiden Luthwaite came into the pits. But of course, Luthwaite's issue has opened the door for Raymond. Of course, this could be the point in the race where Luthwaite was going to be absolutely hounding Rain for the race lead, but fortunately we were denied that battle. Would have been very close between the two of them, with Luthwaite on the fresher tyres towards the end of the race, but there's no doubt that Justin Raym has driven to the maximum of his abilities in this one, and it's impressive wherever you drive, in whatever car, to drive 2 hours without any mistakes, seemingly.
Yeah, as we cross the 2-hour mark, Rem led the race with teammates, the RSR 911 team and the 912 team. They qualified in P2. They pretty much owned the second spot until that little incident with the 912 team. But with just one corner to go, Justin Rem and the RSR 911 team just have the hill to go, and they will take the win here for the OneSim Race for the Cure at Road America, presented by GTR Simulators. Congratulations to Justin Rem and the entire RSR 911 team. He must be thrilled.
Relieved as well, I imagine. That last 20 minutes, just about not making a mistake, and he did precisely that. And Joshua Bolt will surely finish in 2nd place. Daniel Newell catching up to Vaughan Glaze quite a bit in these closing stages, 2.5 seconds between the two of them. But it looks as though Vaughan Glaze is going to take a terrific podium place. Started in the top 3, but
well, he started 3rd.
Yeah, I think he dropped back in the early stages, and
he dropped back to 6th place, I believe. He was the very last. He was the first Ferrari out of the massive Porsche cars, and he'll be coming back up in P3. He'll be very happy because it's an RSR P2 for Joshua Bolt, and it's a all RSR podium going to be coming out with as Justin is doing some donuts, some victory slow-mo donuts. That's always very cool to see, and I think Joshua is going to join him right there. See, return live, and he's still going. As there's Glaze just now coming across the finish line. And we're still waiting for Eliza Mitchell, Rivera, and Flanagan right now. As here comes Mitchell, our biggest mover up the field, up 13 spots. Elijah Mitchell finishes at P5 for Brazil. Rivera tying REI's esports best competitive finish at P6. And Dave Flanagan comes at P7. As we have our results, taking the win for RSR 911, it's Justin Ram, followed up by Joshua Bolt. Vaughn Glaze for RSR Esports 488. Daniel Newell, Eliza Mitchell for OneSim. Fabrizio Rivera for REI Esports. David Flanagan for Team Sim Dab. Cecil Begay for OneSim. Glenn Whistle, REI Esports. Kenny Rodriguez, SRT Esports. Jeff Corallo for OneSim. Mike Mercer, Claude Ramard for RSR Esports, Callum Herbert for REI Sports Car, Lucas Brown for himself, Devin Booth for Logically Gaming Purple, Mark Akira Watanabe, who had that unfortunate incident for RSR 913, Jay Steffe for SRT Esports Black in P18. Falling up behind in P19 is Lithway, and we were so robbed of a great finish between him, but unfortunately he had that turn one. He put in a great fight. Unfortunately, just had to retire at the end for RSR Esports 912. Ryan Whelan, Eric Luke for Apex Button Box, Ignacio Hordal for RSR Esports Blue, Brent Kingcott for CRT 488. Corey Prosser for Edition 709. Luis De La Luz for Wolfpack Esports. John Macchione for Wolfpack, who I believe both of them had a very hard start and got involved in a incidents that they just couldn't get out of. Nicholas Baconfoso for Cancer Fires. Julio De Caprio for DC Racing Team. Richard L. Reagan Jr. for RTR Endurance. And Anthony Pisano for RSR 911, who didn't take to the grid at all through these 61 laps. I believe him and Richard also didn't do anything about that. But what a race we saw, and I believe we have Jeff and Elijah on the line to sum up this race. Howdy, 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 Jeff and Elijah. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, we just had a great time.
Good to hear. Yeah, we had a blast. It was a fun race. It was really fun.
Yeah, I really want to hear from Elijah because he was the biggest mover throughout the field, up 13 spots, and good representation for your team.
Yeah, I honestly I wasn't going to run this race, and then getting towards like probably 10 minutes until practice ended, I was like, I'll go ahead and run it, just have a little bit of fun. I tried to just have a clean race and just go to the end. It was really fun. Unfortunately, there was a lot of crashes, and I think that helped a lot. Next time, we're going to kind of look at it and see what we can do to kind of alleviate all those issues.
Well, I'm glad you joined in. I believe, Sam was going to have some questions for you, but I believe he's muted his mic, so I believe I'm going to be asking the questions. But good turnout today. I believe we discussed at the very start of the broadcast, over $800 raised, and a very dominated race, but it turned out to be a very exciting race due to incidents and strategies throughout the race. Were you expecting this to be the case?
We kind of, as we were watching times, and we know the RSR guys personally, they're good friends of ours. They're a bunch of really fast guys. We were kind of expecting them to be up there and competing at the top, to be honest. And the beginning was a blast, though. It was really tight racing, which looked like it was going to be. So I mean, it all turned out overall really good in my opinion. I mean, there was no parts of the race where it was like regretful of how we split it up. It was awesome. It was perfect. It was an all big good skill gap in it.
Well, I'm glad you are very pleased with it. We are very pleased with it because it just flew by. We didn't even notice that we were broadcasting for 2 straight hours, and smiles all over here. I hope you guys have smiles as well. And as this being your first event, are y'all going to try to start up some more?
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna run down to ask the guys what we can do better, what we can change, and kind of work out a schedule where we can have events on if a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
Then we were talking possibly doing something for military veterans or anything else coming up. I mean, it's never not like I said, we're not doing any of this for points or to bring anyone up. It's for fun and it's all for benefit. Not benefit for us, but like foundations and stuff. It's like kind of what we want to go.
Racing for a good cause, which is always something to smile at. So thank y'all for bringing the sim racing community together and showing that we aren't just a bunch of crazy people driving virtual cars.
Yeah,
Thank you for allowing us to have you guys stream the race, and I want to thank GTR Simulators again for helping us put on this race, and I want to thank everybody that joined.
All right. Well, thank you for putting on this event, and hopefully we see y'all in the future for future events. And thank you everybody who tuned in to us either up on YouTube or other viewing platforms that we are live. I'm Austin. I've been joined by Tyler Maxon, who brought us some beautiful camera works. But first, let's bring it over to Sam, who I believe has a few ending comments.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, once again, thanks Elijah and also Jeff for putting on this event, and yeah, terrific 2-hour race, no doubts here at Road America. Incidents galore, certainly at the start, and then some fantastic strategic elements which kept us on our toes for the entire race. And yeah, if there's any future events like this, certainly look forward to taking parts in them or broadcasting them in the future because this has been absolutely superb fun.
All right. Well, I pretty much think that sums it up. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.